Nearly every single general election is dominated by the economy and debates about the economy. Perhaps in this election it isn't going to be the number one priority, but it's certainly going to be the number two priority on the minds of voters. And I was very struck last week with George Osborne's budget and with the response that we had from the two Eds. I was very struck that there is a complete, total lack of honesty going on about the state of public finances in Britain. There was an attempt by George Osborne using all sorts of smoke and mirrors to pretend that things were actually going terribly, terribly well. The coalition was formed between the Conservatives and Liberal Democrats with one specific purpose. That was to eliminate the deficit by the time of the 2015 general election. It is still running at 90 billion sterling every year, but perhaps even more sobering is the thought that when George Osborne became Chancellor of the Exchequer, our national debt was 850 billion. It is now 1.5 trillion. And yet, I didn't hear any apologies from the coalition or from the Chancellor, and I didn't see Labour really counter-attacking properly, perhaps because their own record in government was so woeful when it came to deficits and running up debt. But it's worth noting that however incompetent some may think Labour were in government, the truth is that George Osborne has increased the national debt in 5 years by more than the Labour Party managed to do in 13 years. That takes some doing, doesn't it, really? So some honesty is needed about the state of our public finances. I'm also struck that the narrative that we're getting from the Conservative Party is that there is growth in the economy and that everybody is doing well, and that this is a reason to vote Conservative. Well, I would put it to you that running massive budget deficit financing of £90 billion a year, if there wasn't growth in the economy, my goodness me, we really would be in trouble. And the real point.
So that was Nigel Farage speaking in the Haywood and Middleton area of Greater Manchester, outlining UKIP's economic plans, and for obvious reasons he didn't have very positive things to say about the current coalition's strategy.
It's quite difficult to believe any plan that you get from the other parties about what public spending might be on the health service, on education, on anything else, when they don't know, because of open-door migration, within the nearest couple of million, how many people will be living here in 5 years' time. So I think economically, UKIP is pragmatic. We've got our feet on the ground. We're made up of people who've worked in the real world and understand the real world. And it is vital that over the next Parliament, yes, we need more growth in the economy, but we've got to control and cut in some areas government spending. We have got to get rid of that deficit, or we are handing on to our children and grandchildren an economic millstone around their necks.